So today we'll be doing like a podcast hosted by our two guests today, and we'll be talking about worldly problems and all that stuff on this channel. So I'll begin. How are you, lot?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good as well.
Good, good. So let's
Thank you
start.
for having us here.
You're welcome. You're
Yep.
welcome.
Really obliged to be here.
So let's start. As we've heard from last week, 2 weeks ago, we heard about the death of George Floyd. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
The criticism sparked, doesn't it? We see all these riots going outside. I mean, some people say it's for the right cause, some people say it's for the wrong cause. You know, there's two different sides weighing in. That all the bottom line is there's a lot of damage being done right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's really nice to see the whole world come together. And you know how people some people took advantage of this situation, if you get me. They took like, you know how they started rioting and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like full on the wrong. That's wrong. They took advantage of one death and they start this whole rioting, violating everything.
Do you think it was what the police done was okay? Well, by clearly seeing what the people's reaction, do you think it was okay?
You
I don't
think
think
by
so.
that you think by the amount of damage that the people did, like they're at fault. But you gotta remember, this started off with the police.
This has been going on for over decades and decades, beginning from slavery and stuff. And when do you think the US government and the world would put an end to racism? Or will it ever end?
I don't think it's gonna be that easy because it's how people are taught. It's what people are taught. You know how people yeah, I know this for a fact. No one is born racist. No one.
Yeah.
Everything, like all this racism, is taught by the parent or by some influencer, whoever they follow. You get
Or
me?
where they've grown up in.
Yeah. It's the surroundings. It's the surroundings. What atmosphere they live in and everything.
Yeah.
All I know is for a fact that until they realize what's actually like, until they interpret the situation, nothing's gonna change. They're just gonna send in more people with guns, run on pepper bullets, pepper spray. They're gonna do that, and then they're gonna regret it because of the mistakes. Like, I don't know if you saw
Yeah, no.
recently,
Today,
an
yeah,
old man was just barged by like two officers.
yeah. No, I saw on the news today. A homeless man, literally a homeless man, um he was protesting peacefully, and the police, out of nowhere, they shot a rubber bullet at his face, and he started bleeding and everything. So
Yeah,
it's really disgusting
yeah.
to see what the government ordered them to do, or like what people have no feelings
I,
and everything.
With the
I feel like because of the situation at hand, the police don't have the situation under control. They're just doing whatever they can.
Yeah,
on an article read a couple of days ago, it said that police training is actually less than what a barber does to become a professional barber. What do you think about that? Do you think they need more training?
no, they really did.
Definitely.
Some of the officers, they really do need discipline and like how to like control themselves, if you get me. For example, I'm gonna go back to what happened to George Floyd. Literally, he was shouting, "I couldn't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." I think the police, not one but four, all four of them, at least one of them should have had the conscience of, okay, he can't breathe, let him breathe because he might die. They didn't have this conscience, but no, none of them stopped. Whatever the police that killed him, um, no one stopped him. So like that really shows how people like are merciless and like don't really care about like how people feel and everything once like they're in danger.
I'm not sure you lot have heard, but you probably would have heard the YouTube star Jake Paul and him rioting and looting stores. Do you think the whole looting stores should be acceptable? Those people with businesses trying to feed a family and that.
See
Do you think
now,
it should be okay?
now this is where you bring in the perspective of the people protesting.
Yeah.
You look at them, you look at what they do. Yeah, you're like, oh, it's wrong, but they're trying to be heard. And if that's the only way that they be heard, they can be heard, then they'll do it.
Yeah, they're trying to attract as much attention as they can from the government. The
News.
thing is, the main point is that small businesses, they are getting affected because of this whole um rioting and everything. It's not. I don't get why small businesses are getting they're getting targeted. Why don't they just loot like bigger stores or anything? I know looting is on the wrong side, but um they're doing this to attract and they're to attract attention. Wait, what? To attract attention from the government and everything in it. So I think
Sm-
they're on the wrong.
You think?
But
Smaller businesses don't
Yeah.
have the amount of money that bigger businesses do. They don't own 1,000,000. They might own 500,000, but they don't own 1,000,000. So they shouldn't be looting that stuff. They're gonna loot stores. They're gonna loot big stores. It's still wrong, but that way you get more attention. Say if you loot Nike, yeah, you take like I saw recently on the news. You take lots of trainers from Nike, yeah, and there's rich people that are doing this. Yeah, they're doing it to be heard. Why do you think they want the trainers? They don't want the trainers. They can afford it. They just want it to be heard.
Do you think violence such as looting and fighting the police would change the government's view of what
yeah,
of
definitely,
racism?
definitely.
They're bringing back what has already been done, so it will definitely change the view of the government.
They're basically paying back how the government or the police paid us back, if you get me. Look what they done to George Floyd. They killed him. They killed an innocent man. So why can't we do that? We're not gonna kill them, but we're protesting. We're trying our best to stop all this racism. You see the whole community, the whole world, everyone's coming together to stop this one issue. I read this today. Um, um, all lives doesn't matter if black lives it doesn't, if you get me. If black lives doesn't matter, all lives couldn't matter. It doesn't matter either.
Yeah. So, with the anonymous hacker coming in a week after, straight after the death of George Floyd, what do you think what's their purpose in this role through this riot and everything?
They have come back to 3 years, 4 years. You know, I don't remember the exact year, but they're doing an impact. They've seen this as a situation which they can take advantage and try and threaten the government. Okay, threatening, it's not right. Yeah, threatening the government especially is not right. But they're doing it to be heard, and they should. And if I'm honest, if they do it more, they would get the attention of the government, and the government will act. Like it's just basic, isn't it?
Yeah, at this point, the hackers are doing a good job, but they could influence other little kids or teenagers, if you get me, into hacking,
That
which could
yeah.
which could lead into a really negative outcome, if you get me, because people are gonna hack the bank. Like they could do anything through just one device, if you get me.
Yeah.
They'll have the whole world in their palm.
Yeah. So, relating from that same topic, looking onto the news right now, we see live reportings of the Black Lives Matter protesters and them breaking the rules of COVID-19. What impact does that have now? Because since different countries are now joining in this movement.
I think at this point, no one really cares about what's going on with the COVID-19. Look how many people came together. Look, different countries. It all started in America. However, it all led to this whole protest in England, London. The other day, I think yesterday, I don't know where it was. I think it was a park. Literally, the whole park was full of protesters protesting for a Black Lives Matter. I think it was a really impactful move. But they need to keep in mind that there is this virus going around the whole world, which is deadly as well. They should keep in mind that they should keep distance and everything.
On a controversial topic, would you say that this year has been planned by some form of superpower in this world, or do you think this is like a natural occurrence of what's going on? At the beginning, we had the coronavirus, and then it kept going until June, and we've got protests of racism and stuff like that. Do you think this may have been done by the government in some sort of way?
As much as I would like to believe that it's been planned, I honestly think it's all just natural causes. This year hasn't been the greatest year. I'm not gonna lie. We've heard people saying that the year shouldn't even count. They should erase 2020 off the calendar. Next year will be 2020. But I still believe that to an extent that this is just natural causes. You see coronavirus. You see the death of Kobe Bryant. You see the death of George Floyd. All of these things. Yeah. They have had massive impacts on the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
on
mean,
the same. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I don't know if you heard there was this new outbreak of Ebola. I think is after 1 year is a second outbreak. It started in the continent of Africa.
Yeah, and also there's also so many things going on, and another topic which could be talked about, the Madeleine McCann case, which they're still fighting, is pretty much pointless on to this day. The case was filed around 10 years ago or something, and the
2007
governments
February.
and detectives and FBI's, they're still working on it. Do you think they should leave the case and focus on something more important, such as helping the poor, taxes and everything like that?
If I'm honest with you, they have had a recent outbreak. There's been a German man suspected, yeah, and he has confirmed to the police that Madeleine McCann is dead. Yeah, which is, I mean, imagine how much money has been spent from February 2007 in Portugal. Yeah, Interpol and Europol, they've spent so much money on this case. Yeah, but it just comes out that she's dead. So all of that money is now gone in the drain. But it's not confirmed, but it's an estimate that she's dead.
Do you think they should leave this case? Where pretty much they kind of have, but they've been trying to solve this case for around 10 years or so. And do you think it was worth it?
No, I don't. I think as a parent, I would do the same, but I would spend money to an extent. Cause look, from 2007 to 2020, that's almost 13 years. Imagine how much money is spent over a decade. Just say how much money is they spent. You could literally save that and hire a private investigator. Instead, they did the opposite and spent it on the government, or they paid the government to investigate this case. This is the problem. The government takes they take a long time to investigate one case, and you know how they could get distracted by for example this year they obviously could get distracted by the rioting and everything going around the world, if you get me. This leads that it will basically extend the case. If you know the Madeleine McCann case, it would extend to until 2022 or 2023 if this rioting continues.
Yeah, we're gonna go back in time a bit. So from January, since the outbreak of the coronavirus, do you think Boris has handled the situation well for the UK?
He's implied strict lockdown measures, yeah, which I'm not saying no against, but it has left a lot of people, including myself, feel like their house is literally trapping them. You can't go outside, you can't go anywhere. Obviously now he's lifted the lockdown restrictions a bit, yeah, but there's still that chance that coronavirus could be in the air, and he's not taking that chance very well, if I'm honest with you. Especially by opening schools and stuff like that.
Yes, due to lockdown, but do you think there's also a bad effect due to lockdown? I mean, there's been an increase in childline calls, in domestic abuse calls, mental illnesses, etc. They've all
Yeah.
increased since this lockdown. So is this a good
There's
impact?
there's this like um it's a judgment. I don't think it's a very good one if I'm honest with you, but there's a judgment. People say that if you don't see anyone apart from your family within 3 or 4 months, yeah, you could like your mindset could like just be fixed on how lonely you are. So you see your mother, your father, your siblings, you just see them every day. Your mindset could be fixed on them, and then you could forget about the outside world, which gives you mental health and which gives you depression.
I think opening the schools on the 1st of June and on the 15th is a good idea.
No, I don't think so. Especially in this time, because these few days we've had over 300 deaths. But I'm just gonna put this in a contrast. Look at Spain. Spain's now having 1 or 2 deaths per day. You know why? Because they had that Spain. They actually followed how like they followed the lockdown rules and everything, which had a positive outcome. Now they get over maximum they get 5 deaths per day, which is like great compared to before where they had 900, 800 deaths per day.
Yeah, do you think the UK Prime Minister should still be in control?
I don't know. The thing with UK Prime Ministers, sometimes he does the right thing. However, there is times that he flops and literally destroys a time period for this country. For example, now, as our guest mentioned, um, he said that he eased the UK Prime Minister. He eased down the lockdown. See the outcome now. We still have three digit deaths per day.
Yes, yeah. So, guest one, what's your opinion on that? Should he still be in control?
I don't think it's down to his decision. I think actually the health minister, his name is Matt Hancock. I think it's all down to him and his decisions. He's not making very good ones at the moment. He's been criticised by many people for it.
Yeah, so I've read a statement the other day saying that the UK are easing the lockdown due to a loss in money in the economy. And so they're easing the lockdown not because the situation is getting better due to the coronavirus, but they're losing money on the economy. Do you agree with that?
To an extent, yes. Because the economy, this British economy, couldn't tell you the figures that it's gone down by. It has been affected drastically. Business couldn't operate without jobs. Some businesses, so let's say you own a food stall, central London, you can't operate that business from home. How are you going to operate it? You can't, even if you were to go out onto the streets, you couldn't operate because no one would be there.
On a distinct level, do you think this virus was man-made or was it just a natural cause?
I think it was man-made. Some say natural cause, but I believe man-made from the Chinese. Actually, it could. Some people say it's a hoax. Some people say they did it deliberately, but they say they did deliberately to boost China's economy by slowing
I've
down
heard
other
this.
countries' economy.
Sorry, I've heard this from some person. I can't name him, but he said because we China is overpopulated, especially Asia. Asia is really populated. Is I think the most populated is the most populated continent. So I think they made that virus to decrease that population, that continental population, if you get me.
Do you think coincidentally this is put in place by the government? Because coincidentally it happened a week, 2 weeks after Brexit. So do you think since Brexit happened, there was a loss of money here and there, so they wanted to do something? Do you agree with that?
See, I wouldn't say so much as to Brexit, but as to the general, as to the general society, maybe.
Going back onto Black Lives Movement, roughly how long do you think this may last for? Until the end of June? Or this may last for a year? Roughly how long do you think this may last for?
Are you talking about the protest or the racism in general?
Well, in terms of the protests and the riots and the shooting and everything, how long would that roughly be for?
Unless the USA president Donald Trump, unless he makes a move, I don't think there will be an end. They'll keep rioting until there is
And
equality on that.
And do you think Donald Trump would also?
This is way higher.
No, that's just dodgy, man.
What was this one?
Lol. Ali.
What are you saying, fam?
I think
You sound like some anonymous guy.
this one.
Yeah.
No, I think
this one. This one sounds like an anonymous guy.
However, should I use this one?
Do it.
Oh,
What?
wait, can you hear the beat?
So, when do you think this would roughly end? The rioting.
I don't think this will end until the government of United States or the UK they actually make a move towards this equality move. Plus, I don't know if you saw this, but influencers, sport influencers such as Jadon Sancho, a thing as well, NFL players, they will allow protest. They show respect on the Black Lives Matter. That really influences other people and gives them hope that there will be an end to this problem.
So, when do you think racism would probably end?
Racism, I don't think it will end until. I'll think it will never end. Racism is just gonna be that one thing that will always be in someone, and that one person will influence other, such as his kid, which will influence his kid, and I think it will just keep going on. However, we as a community can bring, like, we can decrease those, like, the racist people, not by harming them, just making them understand that all lives are equal, that not only their lives is like important, and they have the rights that we shouldn't, and everything.
Yeah. Do you think football should carry on? As in, from the 17th of June, the Premier League coming back. Do you think it was okay for it to return?
Sorry, who?
The Premier League.
I don't think Premier League. I mean, I don't think this is the right time to come back. Why couldn't Premier League come when we were all at home, where we had nothing to watch? Why didn't they call? Why didn't the Premier League return then? Why now when the schools are gonna be open? Why now when everything is going around the world?
Yes, and that's also like another topic as well. But the Black Lives Movement, would go down as like a historical movement if it carries on for
Yeah,
a longer time. Do you think
I think this. Yeah, sorry.
do you think there should be someone else in charge in government?
Yeah,
Or
definitely. I think both UK and USA should have like change in government, change in person in control. Look how they're corrupting the country. Donald Trump especially, he said black people doesn't have anything to lose. They live in poverty. That actually affected a lot of black people, which led to this protest. And I think the government deserved all this because how they treat unfairly to genders, to skin colors, to races and culture.
yes, and that's also like a very good point as well. But would the would there be a new change in the police department in the US?
No, I don't think there will be a change in department. I will think there will be changing training.
Do you think they need more training?
No, they will need adequate training. Like they will have to learn the basic, such as not putting knee on people's necks and don't let them breathe, because that's common. That's at least common sense. Okay, he can't breathe. Let me just remove my knee. That's common sense. You don't need training for that. At least a human should think, okay, he can't breathe. Let me just remove my knee from his neck. He can't breathe. Okay, but he doesn't do that. He had 3 other officers with them. Literally none of them removed, and they had their knee on his stomach and on his legs, which literally left him with nothing. Literally, he couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. It was literally the end for him. And then the outcome was just sad.
So what do you think the charges and the punishment should be for the officer who killed George Floyd?
Officers, yeah. We heard that it was a second-degree murder. Which I think, I mean, it's sad how it took time. It took time how the government like had to respond on that. They they took about 3-4 days where the officers had time to like rest and everything. But I think the government had to respond quicker.
And it's also shocking to see that some people disagreed with what the officer did. Some people said that it was the right thing to do to put his knee on his neck. What do you think about that?
I think those are the minority of this whole world, which are racist. I think they only support the police because they either know the police or they either family members or friends. That's my opinion. But I think it was the wrong thing to do.
A final question for today's cast. What would you be doing if you were in this rioting thing in America?
I would definitely I would obviously riot, but I think the idea of looting and harming small businesses, I think that's really wrong. That's like really sad how people that they depend on their own business, if you get me, is getting looted. They're losing money. Like bigger stores such as here in the UK, such as Tesco, Sainsbury's, they're not getting looted. But if they did, they would have extra money, extra products to sell afterwards. However, small businesses, then they will have to pay their own money to get those products.
Yeah, just like correct as well, as in like terms of what should happen and different people's opinions and stuff like that. So we're gonna end it for today's podcast. Thank you for coming,
No worries. All right, have a good
and
day.
we
Oh yeah,
will
sorry.
do this one soon again. So
Yeah.
like the video, subscribe for this, and we'll see you next week. Peace.